Here goes, folks. First start. Hello, welcome back to the Project 7890. Bike's almost done. Front end of it's complete. We've fitted all the wiring, fitted the hoses, fitted the rad pack back on. However, I found a little leak. There's a standard leak on the 790, 890 on the thermostat housing. It's just a drip. We have a drip tray underneath, we have evidence, so that needs to be done. I'm not going to do it just now. Plan tonight, right now, is to do the rear end, get the air box in and get it ready. I'll then do the coolant side of things. I'll drain the coolant, take out the thermostat, replace it. I've put an explanation about why it leaks in a short phone clip, which I'll add to the video. But in the meantime, I'm going to put a time lapse on. You guys can watch me work away in fast time, and then hopefully you'll see how the back end of this bike comes together. And then we're hopefully ready for a start in this episode. It may take over 2 days because it's the evening now. The start may be tomorrow, if that makes sense. So we'll get it done, we'll get going, and we'll run a time lapse. As I say, it's the Project 7890. Almost started. Is that right? Hi folks, you've heard me mention that I've got a bit of a leaky thermostat at the moment on the 890 engine. It's something which I wasn't expecting, but I'll explain what's going on. So on the left here we have a new revised part which was fitted to my old 790 when it had a leak, and here's the original part. These are shared across the 890, 790, so just to let you know what's going on here, right? So on the original you'll see it's only got a couple of little tabs to hold the hose. It's also quite ovalized, so you can see that it's sort of circular, but not circular, if you know what I mean. It's a bit thicker on the edges, but basically this is where the source of one of the leaks was. The Jubilee clip that was fitted as standard wouldn't clamp properly on this ovalized connection pipe, I think it's called. And also you'll see right on the edge here, this lip is quite, it's just a wee tiny little lip. You see it's quite thin. The bolt holes are a little bit bigger, and this is what wasn't fitting quite right on the actual head. So what was happening, it was leaking out one of the sides. I think it's this side here. It weeps out here, just literally like a teardrop. Every time the bike's cold, it just like a little teardrop just keeps coming, and you end up with a bit of a splash. And it usually manifests itself as a little spot underneath. Now you always use a wee bit of cardboard just to check if there's any leaks or anything, but it'll run down the front of your headers and then splash, and you can see it's also splashed here as well as it runs down the edge of the header and falls off. So that's a good clue, but the fix took me a while to work out. Obviously there's a new thermostat. This came out of my old engine, which was basically brand new. I think this one's only done about 300 miles. I don't know if it's got a revised gasket on it or something, but it was a new part number, I believe, at the time when I bought it. So this and a combination of these and these screws fixed it. Now, when I pick up this one, you'll see straight away the difference. That's perfectly round. It's also got more ramps here and here and all the way around. It's different sort of construction are there, but also if you'll notice the lip is a lot deeper. It's hard to really tell here with it close up, but that lip is deeper on the bottom side of it, and also it's a little bit wider. And you can also see there's a bit of a groove there, which the old one, if you look at it, didn't really have it. And also you can see sort of how thin that is. So it's just slight difference, marginal gains, it says. But I think the biggest solution was actually a change of the bolts. So these are the original bolts here on the right. These are quite long, and we believe the problem was that when these went into the casting in the head, they were bottoming out and therefore not clamping down enough. So you can see the new bolts that they specify are about, I would say, 4 mil shorter. So that then gives them the clamp and force to pull down on the thermostat on the thermostat and the connection pipe, therefore creating a bit of a clamp and a proper seal, as opposed to just one that bottoms out and it's not quite sealed right. So I've got to replace that today. So hopefully, I'm not going to take you through the details of replacing the thermostat, but hopefully that explains why you get a drip on your 790 or 890, because you may have either one of these in combination with these long bolts. And the solution is If you have a connection like this, which I believe this one has, I'll maybe come back with the third connection and see how different it is from this one, and also a combination of these bolts and a new thermostat with a fresh gasket. Okay, making good progress here. Excuse the mess of the tools, but I just wanted to direct your attention to basically the indicators, or the turn signals, as some people call them. Just so you know, you can mark these obviously as you take the bike apart, but a quick tip for you is you'll see both the indicator switches are marked with a red and a green. And for those of you who do a bit of sailing or are employed in maritime industries, you'll know that the red means port and the green means starboard. Now the easy way to remember it is port as the drink, the bottle of port. There's no port left, so that's your left indicator and that's your right indicator. So for those of you who fly as well, you'll notice that on the wings and aircraft as they're coming towards you, the red light will always be on the right hand side, and that's why you turn to the left to miss them. But anyway, I digress. A bit of maritime and aviation sense coming into KTM's building, which is absolutely fantastic to see. It's an easy way to remember which indicator's which, and if you don't believe me, I've wired these up completely blind, and we'll stick the left indicator on, and they're wired up correctly. So there you go, proof in the pudding. Hope you like my subframe. So that's stage one of this evening's activities complete. That is the new Lee painted back end on the bike. Exhaust's all hooked up. Basically everything just fitted quite smoothly. There's like 2 bolts to put on your slip on. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the way they've designed this bike to be, you can work on it yourself really easily. I think that frame, it's hard to tell whether I like it or not, but I do think it kind of gives a good contrast against the black plastic and the black frame. So halfway to an hour. Next job is to do the ball ache of a radiator drain and try and fix that blooming drip, and that'll be it. But I'm very pleased about how this has turned out. I think it's subtle enough. Once you get the plastics and stuff on, I think it'll kind of just complement what's already been done to the bike. So I'm really pleased with the way it's turned out. A few things about putting everything back together. There's a really good Rottweiler performance video about how to take this thing off and undo all the bolts. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it for a few years, and trying to put stuff back together in different order is a bit of a pain. So I've had the side off about 4 times, just trying to run cable runs and things like that down the side of it. Air boxes in, just need to put the filter on. I've just got a semi-clean one there that was done recently. All the electrics are done. Just to let you know, that is a ODB. Oh, something's just dropped there. What was that? That was just the ODB thing. This is called ProScan Automotive. It's an eBay cable. Works with an app called Car Scanner, which is really quite comprehensive and shows you everything that's going on with the bike when it's switched on. What I've done, because the bike has been apart and the battery's been off and things like that, I've actually cleared all the codes. I did that last night while I was waiting on the paint coming. So that's all been cleared. So the only error message I'm getting at the moment is no fuel sender connected. So that's something which will be resolved in the morning. It reminds me I need to put a cable tie there. So once the tank goes on, the sender for the fuel is there. That'll go on. You'll switch her on, she'll prime the fuel, and we should be able to just hit start and she should fire up. That's the plan. If she doesn't, then there's something else that's wrong somewhere, but I'm getting no error messages on the scanner. I'll leave that on as well tomorrow when I start her, so we can just check if there's anything untoward. But as far as I'm concerned, I think everything's in. Breather's on. That was quite tight to put in, but it's easier to take it out and feed it through rather than leave it on. The chain's been adjusted already. I've got it on the paddock stand because I want it to be able to maybe just run it through the gears slowly when I have it running, just to, 1, get the oil on them, and 2, just to make sure the gearbox is all okay. So that I do not recommend at home, but that's what I'll be doing. But no, I'm really chuffed the way she's turned out. You know, once you get the tank on her, the side plastics, I think it's going to complement it quite a bit. And it's probably looking very KTM at the moment, but yep, we're almost there. Not long now, baby, and we'll get you fired up. Okay, just another wee update. I've checked my camera and I think the time lapse didn't work, but I'll need to go and plug in the computer and see if I can save it. If it's there, if not, I apologise. The bike is now ready for its tank. We've done everything now. Exhaust is on, subframe's on, air filter's in. I've just swapped out the thermostat. The old one's still on the floor there. I've swapped it out. The actual parts, the part of the connector pipe was actually the same part number. So I swapped it out anywhere, and then I used some Hylamar gasket compound just around the edge of it to try and get a seal. This is a non-drying, non-setting gasket, so it doesn't dry hard. It's a friend of mine in the aviation industry gave me the tip of that, so I'm using that to just kind of, rather than use RTV or anything more sinister, I just use that. Okay, so that's that done, so fingers crossed that won't leak. I'm going to give this a bit of a wipe, put more cardboard in it overnight, and just see if there's anything else drips down during the night. Otherwise, we've just got the tank, which is over there, to throw on tomorrow, and then we'll hit send and press the button. But it's getting fairly late now, so I'm going to go in and get some food and crash for the night. But definitely pleased with the subframe. I think it's come out well. From behind, it looks like a standard KTM, so all good. And she's getting there. Okay, right, that's me for this evening. I'll see you probably in a few seconds. So the next step now is fit the tank, plumb it in, put the electrics on it, and all I've got to do is press the start button. So what I'll do, I will just stick a time lapse on of me putting the tank on, and then we'll come back and we'll hit the send button. But I think she's looking fab now. It'll look better once the tank and the seats and the plastics are on, I think. But no, I'm really chuffed. It's come out well. In fact, I'll just take you to this side as well, because maybe just haven't really had a good look at this. You can see all the wiring. I've tidied up as much as I can. It's all running down here nicely. I've put a couple of fresh hoses on the overflows. That's the fuel overflow if need be. And generally she's all looking good. OEM, all looking tidy. Shiny header pipes. I don't know if you can see in here, everything's kind of nice and shiny. First time I take it off road, I'll be crying because I'm getting dirty again. But yeah, dead chuffed with it. Everything's looking pretty solid. So, right, let's get on with the tank. Okay, it's almost that time. The bike is basically back now as a functioning bike. Tank is on, obviously no plastics, but they will come later. As you can see from the time lapse, the tanks do go on fairly quickly. There's literally 4 bolts, a couple of plugs at the bottom, and a few bit of pipe work. I have mine off, on and off all the time. That Rottweiler quick release really makes it easy, so technically I could have this bike apart in about 5 minutes and access to the engine, especially when you're out in the trail or if you never needed that. Right now I'm going to just switch on the ignition and just show you it's starting up. As you can see, I've got a fuel leak, stand by. I think this pipe may be cracked here, so that might slow us down today. I might have a spare one of these, I've got to check, but one didn't come with the engine, and I can't remember if I bought a spare. I think I do have a spare, but it's up in the roof space. So I don't know if it's actually the pipe that's loose or there's a crack in here. I'm going to err this side of caution and replace this whole plastic mount or plastic pipe here. So there you go. That's why it's worthwhile taking your time, but I wasn't going to find that until I actually turned the ignition and had the fuel pump on. So there you go. That's his life. Okay, just a quick update. The fuel line was just a little bit loose on the clamps. I think it's just obviously been taken on and off a few times lately. So I've just replaced these clips. Luckily I had a few of them lying about, but this is what they look like when they're kind of fresh. As you can see, they've got quite a flat top. You then use a pair of these, squeeze them, and then it fits on the fuel line. So you'll see now, the actual plastic part of the connector was not cracked. It was just these, I think they're called Ogier clips, or Ogier, or something along that lines, but you correct me if I'm wrong. So that's now a good tight fit, it's not spinning. So I may have to revisit these ones as well, but we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully that's the least of our problems now. Okay, that was a little bit of Matt Armstrong style drama there with the fuel. That's it all fixed back in. I didn't have to take the tank off, thankfully, because the bit that needed attention was just here. But worst case scenario, I probably could have gotten that pipe out if I needed to get the whole pipe out, but I'll maybe revisit that if I ever have the tank off again. I'll maybe redo all the clips on it, because the last thing I want is fuel peeing everywhere. As I said, bike starting up, no error messages. What I am going to do though is I'm going to just check the codes on this, and that way it'll be just check everything is okay. But we've got fuel pressure. I could click start now and I'm sure it'll try and start, but just want to check the codes, everything looks okay, and then we'll go for a clear prop. Okay, that's us back. We're almost ready to hit go. You'll have seen it in just a quick screen recording. I just checked the codes to see if there's any problems with the bike. There's nothing showing on the DTCs. At the moment we're sitting here with the dashboard on. There's no error messages. So it's now time to click start. Now this could be quite interesting because one, it probably hasn't started in a long time. Two, the engine probably has some gunk in it, so there probably could be a bit of smoke. I've got the other camera rolling over there, so you'll be able to see me as I do it. And basically, yeah, I just got to click send. It may not start first time. It may go bang. I doubt it, hopefully. But here goes. This hasn't been run for a few years, I don't think. So let's see what happens. Now with this, the 790, I'm going to do what's known as an initialization run. It's in the manual, or the repair manual. Basically, you'll let it idle for 10 minutes without touching the throttle. And the trick to starting these bikes is just press the button once and stand back, and we'll see what happens. I don't see any fuel dripping on the floor, which is good. So here goes, folks. First start. Oof. Well, she works at least. Nothing too drastic about that startup. She basically hadn't been started for a while, as you could tell. She spluttered a wee bit on the start, but one little coolant leak I've spotted, which was just here. It's coming out of the drain tap. There's a wee tap in the bottom of the water pump. I just hadn't nipped it up enough, so I just give it another wee small turn and it seems to have stopped, but I'll keep an eye on that. It might just need the washer nulled again with a bit of heat, but that's something I can do in the future. Otherwise, she's got up to temperature. She's ran the fans, so I'll let her cool down a wee bit now. You can see the headers have golded up nicely in there from new. And a wee bit of dirt on that from me putting a cloth on it, but that'll come off a bit of Scotch Brite. But otherwise, fairly pleased. Let's see what the colour of the oil looks like. If it's coming back down, that'll probably need a wee top up in a minute or two, but we'll see what it looks like. If I can get in a bit closer there, you can see it's dropped quite a bit, but I'll top that up in a minute or two. I'll just have a wee look at it and see what it's like. It should just come down from the top of the engine, hopefully. I've got plenty left, so I'll take a wee top up. But otherwise, she started. Well, after a few weeks' work, a lot of research into the 890 engine, into the differences between the 790 and the 890. I can thoroughly conclude now that a 19 chassis with its loom, ECU, etc., works with a 21 Duke R engine. So read into that what you may. The next stage for me now is to probably take this to someone who has a bit of expertise in mapping, and just to check that there's enough fuel getting in and the AFRs are correct, because the last thing I want to do is run this bike lean and do more damage to the pistons, overheating them or whatever. Ideally, if it needs any work done to it, it'll be a custom map. We'll get the AFRs down to something reasonable that makes the bike run smooth and takes into consideration the modifications that are on her now. So no, that's her. I'm all pleased. Thanks for watching over the last few episodes. Please don't think this is the end. I will be taking you, probably expand the channel coverage a little bit more to out and about, and a bit of riding footage and maybe some stuff, tech tips and stuff on how to keep these bikes running. Right now, I'm planning on just getting this back up running, getting it rolling roaded, and that could be another episode. But yeah, I'll keep it up to date. But now she starts. Next one's take her for a test ride. Well, there you go. It just goes to show you that an 890 works in a 790. Started on the button first go, took a couple of turnovers before the fuel got into it, and then bang, it fired up nicely. It hunted a little bit. A little bit of smoke out the back because there's obviously plenty of WD-40 that's been inside the engine. The smoke came off the engine, everything burnt off. The exhaust turned a nice golden colour. Had a little bit of a coolant leak from the drain plug. Basically, I hadn't tightened it up enough after I swapped out the thermostat yesterday, so that was the only problem I had with it. As you can see, the bike's now back complete. Some cards on. I let it sit for a while just to see if there's any drips underneath it, see if there's any coolant, any oil, and everything looked okay. So chain's now lubed, everything's back on. Hope you like my new stickers, 789. So we're basically ready for a test ride, which will happen tomorrow. So I'm hopefully going to go out with a pal just for a wee bit of a run, take my toolkit with me just in case something goes wrong. But all in all, it's sounding good. So even though that's the end of the engine swap, it's not the end of the story. So what we'll do is we'll keep you up to date with what's going on. Keep an eye on the social medias. I'll put more information on there. If you've got any questions about what I've encountered while I was doing the swap, or how I did a certain thing, or anything you're having some difficulties with at home, just reach out in the comments, or contact me direct on my social media channels. Obviously, I've got a COS ADV and Project 789 Tango 89T, letter T. So that's really it. A few things I'd like to say. Oops, so I'll get rid of that ragged. I'd like to say thanks to a few people. Obviously KTM Sean, who was the one that started all this off in my head. He did a Duke conversion. He said he's just texted me today and said he's just back from Wales. He's done 1,000 miles on it, no problem at all. The bike's running well. So fingers crossed that bodes well for the future. I'd like to thank Rottweiler Performance. The guys there have kind of been with me all the way through this. They've been keeping an eye on the YouTube videos. I've been asking them just normal questions about mapping and stuff, because obviously my bike was originally mapped with the Rottweiler maps. At the moment there's no maps on it, so it's running standard 790 software on the 890 unit, so hopefully that will be a good thing. It'll sort itself out, but I'm probably going to go get it checked on a dyno. I don't quite know yet when or how, but if I start getting problems with it or I'm not quite happy with it, I'll need to get that checked. I've also got a story I was supposed to tell you about the headers. This is a really weird situation. So I got the engine, as you probably heard from the first episode, from a company called Moto Mine, who have a big YouTube presence, a big eBay presence, sell lots of salvage bikes, parts, etc, etc. So after I bought the engine, no problems at all. It arrived on time, great delivery. In fact, it arrived quicker than I expected. So I've no problems at all with that. But I did order a set of headers, 890 headers. I thought they probably were originally off this engine, because they were Duke 890 headers. What I was looking for, they came with 202 sensors, and I put a bid in. They accepted my offer, but they phoned me 2 days later and said, we're really sorry, but we've lost those headers in our inventory. They were moving buildings or something like that. It happens. So I went, okay, right, I'm really sorry. Sorry to hear that, but yeah, okay, if you can give me a refund, I'll move on. And then they said, no, hold on a sec, there's another set on eBay, a brand new set. And they were from JD Racing in Cornwall. And Moto Mine refunded my money and then also paid the difference for the new headers, which I was like, what? Are you sure? So I was totally blown away by the customer service there. So shout out for Moto Mine. They haven't contributed to this build apart from the fact is that they paid the difference between what I bid for and what the price of the new headers were. So I can't fault them from a customer service point of view, and I fed that back to them and I said, look, I'm blown away by this. I've never had this done before in my life. So that's the kind of stuff that's been going on. Good story. Headers came, fitted, everything's good. I'm trying to think who else I'd like to thank. Powder coater, a local guy did my powder coating for me. He did it fairly quick, did it in 2 or 3 days. So I managed to get my subframe done, a nice orange, KTM orange, and it seems to blend in nicely, even though you can hardly see it, but from behind you can see it above the back wheel, which looks quite nice, and quite happy to have a little bit of orange on my frame. Other than that, that's really it. I mean, everybody that's made comments on the YouTube channel, thanks very much. I've tried to answer all of them. I think I have answered all of them. Good to see some people from Spain expressing interest in what I'm doing with the 790, giving a bit of information and showing some of the pitfalls and some tips on how to deal with just some of the bike. Obviously, I've not cracked this engine open, so I may be subject to all 790, 890 fables in the future, but you know, it's going to get an oil change in a few weeks' time once I get a few runs in it. It's coming into our winter, so it may get parked for a while, but I'll try and keep an eye on the oil. The oil's kind of turned a darker colour already, but I expected that from the oil that came out of it. It's obviously oxidised, etc, etc, been exposed to a few elements. But engine sounds fine. Usual 790, 890 tickiness. I'll find out more tomorrow when I take it for a ride, once I get it up to like a proper operating temperature on the road. It was sitting at 4 bars today, fan kicked in, everything sounded fine. It's idling at 1400 RPM. I've put some of the data in so you can sort of see some of the data while I ran it. It's an idles about 1400 RPM, which is a 790 standard according to the 790 handbook, which has been under my legs. So the Duke handbook says 1600. So for anybody out there who's got a 21 890 Adventure and has the equivalent repair manual, can you just look in the back pages under engine and you'll see the idle speed and let me know what it is. I'm hoping it's 1400, the same as the 790. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but this seems to be happy enough ticking over that. decat pipe, as you heard, gives it a nice tone. I don't know what the bark is like on it under power, but I'll find that out tomorrow. But otherwise, that's really it. Tires are up to pressure. All fluids are good. No leaks. Engine's fine. Seems to be happy on the 790 software. No error messages on the dash. No sensor warnings. Nothing unusual. So I'll take it out tomorrow and see what happens. Okay, so that's the end of this episode. So I'll let you all go back. If you want to watch the rest of the series, I'll put a card in this corner. Yeah, that one. You can look at the playlist. There's obviously only 5 episodes at the moment, but I'll show you how quickly this escalated. Fitting the engine myself was fairly easy, although I do have some stands and jacks, which did help. The best things I've bought are a front wheel chock and a kind of scissor type lift, which I use for lifting the whole bike off the ground so I can get swing arm and forks out. I did buy that a few years ago, but there are some links in the comment description if you do want to have a look at some of the stuff that I use. There's a long list. Amazon affiliates, usual rules applies. I get a bit of kickback, but don't feel obliged. Other links you'll see in there will be to my social media channels. Click like and subscribe to those, or whatever, follow. I'll put more updates on it. I do have 2 channels run at the minute, one for the project and one of my own personal bike one. I'll try and run them parallel. I don't know whether I'm been kind of like chopping and changing, but once people get to know who the bike is and what the bike is, then hopefully we'll take it from there. Yeah, that's really it. Just say, keep the subscriptions coming if you like what we're doing. I'll try and do more kind of riding videos maybe in the future. It is coming into our winter, so there'll not be much, but I'll try and keep a few updates going. It's not the end of this channel. This will be my main thing now. I'll put some updates on this. And otherwise, I think we're good to go. So there you go. Okay, it's not overnight, but it's until next time. Thanks for watching the Project 7890.
Number 5 is alive.